Hey guys, it's Spaces Sims, and we are back with more Winter's Wish, continuing Kuga's route. I believe we're in chapter 5, or did we just start chapter 6? I don't know. Anyway, it's been a couple days for me because I couldn't record over the last couple days. So, anyway, not because it was the weekend, it's the middle of the week, but anyway. Right, Kuga's back at the base. And we asked Yoichi to stay, and instead he stole my bird. He actually turned me down. I just thought it'd be a little livelier around the base with Yoichi here, which might cheer Kuga up. I went back to my own room and sighed to myself. With Komame gone, it was the complete opposite of lively. The huge base was even more silent. Well, who knows if that would have even cheered him up anyway. Earlier, I'd been so preoccupied with the idea that Vessels did never feel depressed, or that Kuga might actually be annoyed that I was concerned about him. In other words, I didn't see Kuga as, well, himself. And as a result, I ended up leaving him to worry by himself for a while. That would have never happened if I had more experience dealing with people. Thinking about it made me feel so bad for Kuga. I could feel my chest tighten up. But I know how to avoid repeating the same mistake. I'm gonna go talk to him. Oh, we were in chapter 6. I was on the wrong guide, too. That didn't help me. And something in my brain when I popped up my guides, I was like, I saw like a choice from our other game, and I was like, that doesn't seem to fit in. It was in the back of my head, like, that doesn't seem to fit. And then I was like, wait, I'm on the I'm on the wrong game. So if I go to the right guide, we're like up to the chapter 6 start marker. So okay. All right. I'm not all here, taking a day off. Ugh, just from work even. I needed it, but like, good God, my brain's broken. I actually went into my office yesterday. I haven't been there in years to pick up my stuff from my desk. People are like, why were you picking up your stuff? And I'm like, because like, why am I leaving? I'm like, clearly no one listens to me. Because, like, we had, actually, the woman who asked me this wasn't there. But, like, on Tuesday, we had, because it's a Thursday now, so I took Wednesday. Okay, there you go, caught up. Like, we have our team call, and I was like, I might come into the office and pick up my stuff, blah, blah, blah. And, like, I know I said might, so, like, whatever. But it was just really funny, because, like, and I'm like, because I was waiting, I'm like, I was just going to leave it at that. I might come in the office and get all my stuff. I was waiting for people to be like, are you leaving? So I could be like, maybe if they don't shape the fuck up around here. It's really just because I haven't been there and there's some other woman sitting at my desk and it's like, she just got all my shit in a drawer. Like, it's wasting space. Like, we don't have a lot of... Our desks are very tiny. If you stuck your arms straight out either way, you touch the people on either side of you. Okay? It's a tiny little cramped fucking space. We don't have real walls on your cubicle. It's awful. I hate the, like... open floor plans for like collaboration. No, it just means I can hear 700 people on fucking calls and I can't fucking hear myself think. I can't handle that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Also, then one asshole comes in who's sick and we all get fucking sick because people do not know how to not come in when they're fucking sick because their stupid kid is sick because stupid kids are nothing but germ bringers. Come on. Like, seriously? Don't fuck with me like that. Like, so, like, but all you have is, like, a couple little, you have this one little thing, little bench thing that sits next to your desk that basically has 2 drawers in it. One's a small drawer and one's a deeper drawer. And then 2 little shelves. So, like, all my shit's in all of her drawers. So it's like, So I was like, I'm going to come in and take it out of her way because, like, even though she's supposed to only be in our office temporarily, she's been there for, like, a year. So it's like, she shouldn't have to deal with that. Plus, I just don't trust that someday they're going to put my shit in a box, it's going to get thrown out. It's all my personal stuff, things that people have given me at work, So, anyway, I went in and it was so funny because I get there and no one's there. And I'm like, it was like lunch. And I'm like, seriously? It was like right before, like, everybody must have left, like, early? So I was like, okay. So I'm like, well, I'm cleaning out my desk anyway. I guess I'll just, I came and no one was here, right? this woman comes over and is like, is this your desk? You're like, because she must not recognize me. I'm like, yeah, no, that's me. My name's on the desk. I got my badge and everything. She's like, no, okay, I just didn't know because I haven't like seen you in like a while. And I was like, or ever, probably. People have recognized me because I dress crazy. So the security guards were like, okay, we'll see you in a couple more years. And I'm like, is it because I always wear top hats? And they're like, not just that. Like, it's because I dress like a crazy person. And I'm like, it's how I feel more comfortable and I'm allowed to do it. So I'll do it. I wasn't wearing a top hat that day. I'm like, next time I'll wear a top hat for you guys, But I'm like, I recognize them, but I don't see a couple hundred people coming in and out every day. You know what I mean? But I was up there doing that, and then a couple people, came back, and I was like, oh, so one guy came back who I've never met in person because he started after I'd worked from home. So talked to him for a minute, a couple other people came, whatever, and I was like, I was looking for my one work friend, the one woman that loves me for some fucking reason. I don't know, I love her too, don't get me wrong. She's like my work best friend. So like, I'm like, is she here? They're like, oh, she sits over there, but she's not in right now. And I'm like, I didn't tell her I was coming in because I wanted to like surprise her. I was just going to go right over, And I'm like, so we're standing there, okay, and like where we sit, it's just our row of desks. So it's like 8 desks, like 4 on each side. And then there's a glass wall. There's an area that used to be a quiet zone where it's like they used to have couches and desks where you could go to get away from people making a fuck ton of noise. And then they just turned it into more desks on like every other floor. So we have just more desks, more people. And then there's another glass wall, and then there's another row of like the 8 desks or whatever. Well, hers faces toward the area where ours is. So it's basically across the fucking floor, right? So they're like, oh, there she is. Like, she just came in. So I stand in there and I'm looking at her and I'm like, oh, her with the bun. I'm like, she changed her hair since obviously the last time I saw her 2 years ago. So I'm standing there and she kind of looks and I like wave and she kind of waves. And I'm like, does she realize it's me? And I'm like, oh, no, this is not happening. It is. Please, God. She starts walking to the end of her aisle. We ran down the center aisle. Like, and just, it was like one of those, the slow motion run through the flower hugs. It was one of those. We just raced down the aisle and hugged so hard. And I was like, this is like the greatest fucking thing ever. And I am so glad she was on my wavelength. So the one guy there was like, I wish I had gotten like a video or something of that. I'm like, you want us to reenact it? And he's like, yeah. So we fucking did. He got it on video. That's the funniest damn thing. And I'm like, I needed that though. She was like so fucking happy. She's like, you didn't. She's like, we were on a call yesterday morning and you didn't tell me. I'm like, I wanted to surprise you and I thought you weren't going to be here when I came in and I was really disappointed. But I'm like, but you know what I mean? Like, oh God, just that like run across a fucking floor to each. It was beautiful. You don't really get moments like that. I had to share it with you because it's just probably one of the greatest moments ever. So fucking funny. But now I have all my shit, so my work desk downstairs is even more crowded with my stuffed My Little Pony that someone gave me because they liked me. A bunch of crowns because someone I used to work with also used to like me, and then she started to not like me because I told her no once. And she was being a bit of a bitch after that. Like, whatever. Drama queen. All my Hot Wheels. Like, all the stuff, And there's another little, like, pouch that, like, someone, I forget who it was now. And I'm like, I haven't seen it in so long. Like, she used to, like, knit or crochet these little, like, bags. So she made me one. Because she was only there for a little while. And I was like, that's so sweet. I'm like, I forgot about this. Like, all these little things that, like, people have given me. Because they like me. I don't know why everybody says I'm an asshole. Like, whatever. Nobody run and hugs you across a floor if you're an asshole. That's all I'm saying. So, whatever. Anyway. Sorry, I had to share that. Anyway, back to playing a game. Oh, we gotta be sad now. Okay, guys, simmer it down. Sad times. Kuga, it's Spacey. May I come in? Oh, we get to see our boyfriend now. I called out to him since I could see a faint amount of light coming from his room, but he didn't answer. Is he just gonna sit there sadly? Oh, is he just sitting there sad? Wait. Excuse me, Kuga? He's just sitting there quietly and looking sad. When I quietly opened the sliding door, Kuga straightened up on the tatami mat and continued staring intently at his wakizashi. Oh. Now he's thinking of the story. Oh, he's brooding. Oh. Kuga had been like this ever since Miyagi had told him the story about his old owner. He used to brood like this a lot when he was ordered to stay home at his house. I could talk to him, but he probably wouldn't even notice. Normally, he was so sharp, just standing in front of the door would have alerted him to my presence. That alone told me how deep in thought he was, which made me feel very conflicted. Just sit with him. Kuga...
Spacey, is that you?
Yes, I'll be quick. I came to give the daily report. Kyoshiro and the others are still investigating ways to defeat Hanzo, so we don't have anything to share. Aw, look at his sad little face. Girl, go hug him. He might not need it, but I do. I told him that, first assuming he'd want to know that above all else, but he looked disappointed. Well, looked might be too strong a word. Perhaps it was because I'd spent more time with Kuga than anyone else I'd met since coming to Edo. Or maybe it was because I'd been worrying about him anytime I wasn't focused on work. But there was no way I could miss that nearly imperceptible change in his expression.
Spacey...
Huh? Oh, yes?
Before we discuss your report, do you mind hearing me out for a moment? Not that my thoughts are organized enough that I have anything to tell you. But earlier when you said I was worried, talking to you helped me understand something inside of me I found hard to describe. I think I need that right now, so I'd like your help.
Oh. I came here because I needed to talk to him too. I never thought I'd hear Kuga say he wanted to talk to me too. I'm so happy, I think? Or relieved? If I had threads around my own neck, I'm sure they would have been a very improper color. Oh, improper? As touched as I was that Kuga needed my support, I knew I shouldn't get carried away with myself while he was in trouble. Of course I'll help. Could you explain what's on your mind like you did last time? I steeled both my face and mind before sitting directly in front of Kuga, obscuring his view of the sword.
How do you feel about me?
Aw, this is kind of adorable. Okay, my guide is being a raging douche canoe right now. I really hate the way this is happening. Like, I can see it out of the corner of my eye, and that's why it's driving me crazy. I have the tabs open for our other game and this one, but I have the main tab, and then I have, like, the current guide that we're on, right? And for some reason, it will constantly act like you're hovering over the main tab, and it shows you, like, a little preview of the tab in the corner of your screen. So I'm just sitting here out of the corner of my eye, I just see this little thing pop up, and I'm like, stop it, that's annoying. So I'll click on my thing to, like, get that to go away, and then it, like, 2 minutes later, it's like you're hovering over. It's like, you know, it's like a preview. Like, if I had a mouse and I was hovering over the fucking thing, and, like, I don't understand why it's doing that, and it's so goddamn irritating. It does this every once in a while, and it's like, stop it! For fuck's sake, stop! Stop trying to show me a preview of a different tab! It's so annoying! Anyway, hold on. Okay, maybe that'll... Yeah. How do I feel about you? I love you. Yes! I immediately let out a hysterical yelp, even though I just braced myself for this conversation. You braced yourself for a conversation, but I don't necessarily know if you braced yourself for the "how do you feel about me" conversation. I don't know if anyone's ever prepared for that. What do you mean, by that?
Do I seem to you, well, anyone, do I seem like the kind of person who would steal
somebody else's things? You?
Yes.
I wasn't sure what he was getting at, which left me feeling even more confused. I mean, you stole my heart. Does that count? Oh, damn, I'm fly. Oh, not the time for that kind of flirting. All right, never mind. Otherwise, no. You would never. You're the sort of gentleman who would give away one of your rice balls even though you only packed 2 for lunch.
I see. Next question, then.
Again, you missed the sly answer to be like, you only stealing my heart, sir. Hey. But again, she's probably better off not trying to be suave and, slick and trying to pick him up like this.
Have you ever thought I was arrogant? Or gotten the sense I would murder you on the street at night while you were walking together if I saw the opportunity?
While we were walking together. Sorry. If I saw the opportunity. I really like this question, though, and I like the look on her face is like, the fuck kind of question is that? No? The hell? She's just so straight-faced. But after that, I know it's just the default expression, but it just looks so funny after that question. Kuga was saying some pretty strange things, yeah. They were so strange, I had a feeling I knew exactly what he was worried about. You're talking about Gengoemon Akahore and not yourself, aren't you? You would never steal, you're not arrogant, and you wouldn't murder me. Absolutely not. Why are you so worried about that? Gengoemon Akahore was just your owner. You're your own person, Kuga. And if you think about it, part of, if you want to believe that you are who made you or whatever, think about the man who lovingly crafted the weapon that you were born from. Maybe Gengoemon was the one who gave you sentience, but he's not the one that crafted you. You know what I mean? I knew he'd been unhappy this entire time that Hanzo equated him to Akahori, and that the townspeople believed the rumors. I never would have expected Kuga to start acting as if he and Akahori were the same person. Kuga probably only thought this because he was worried, but knowing the kind of person he was, it made me incredibly sad that he thought that.
Spacey, were you aware that if someone is particularly attached to an object, the resulting form folk strongly resembles its master?
What?
Form folk are born when an object's soul and owner's love for it combine. It makes sense the owner's personal attachment to the object would impact them as well. Just like the phrase, like father, like son, in which case, wouldn't they also pass down who they are inside, not just their looks?
But part of like father, like son is not just physical. If you're talking about like personality wise, it's because they pass down their thoughts. They teach their sons these things. So if you have a father who's a complete and utter cunt and they teach their son to be a cunt, then the son's going to be a cunt and you're going to have like father, like son. But like that's nurture versus nature. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's necessarily in someone's nature to be an asshole just because their parents were. It's what they're taught. They can learn to not be an asshole. Sometimes they just don't give a fuck to. You know what I mean? And you have to kind of like, if you had like, Akahore was a horrible person. If he had an actual son and it was taken away from him right away, or he abandoned that kid and that kid lived with somebody else, like put up for adoption in a loving, wonderful home, doesn't mean that kid's going to grow up to be a thief and a murderer. It's not genetic. You know what I mean? It's like they were nurtured and treated nicely and learned to respect people. You know what I mean? So like, no, sweetie. I don't think that just because the person who might have given you sentience is a douche, that makes you a douche. You're better than that. Would they? That would mean Kuga's doubts about himself weren't completely unfounded. They kind of are. But I mean, in ye olde times, you didn't really, know a lot of this stuff, so, I understand why there'd be confusion. If so, the anguish he felt once he learned more about his owner undoubtedly ran deeper than I could have ever imagined. Although, I mean, to be fair, human parents, human children is different than humans and form folk. You know what I mean? That is a completely different thing. So theoretically, I guess, with form folk, it could be possible. But, look at Mimi. She is boisterous and outgoing and sociable, and we talk to the walls because no one would talk to us. We are not like her at all. I mean, we're not a complete shut-in. We can seem to manage conversations with people just fine, but we are definitely, not as outgoing as she is. So, like, she's not exactly like us, and we technically birthed her if you think about it, you know? So, it's not always true. Is she a good person? Yes. Are we a good person? Yes. So, okay, you have that. But, you know, similarities, it's not 100%, you know?
You said a few moments ago that I would never steal or murder. I live my life with no intention of doing those things either. However, I worry that it's entirely possible that I might act like Akahori without even realizing it.
No, really, you would never.
Thank you. But the only reason that side of me hasn't shown itself is that my heart and memories are sealed away. If unleashed, I could be just as villainous as Akahori. It's my lot in life to be discarded if the seal ever comes undone, so there's no need for me to ever fret over it. Still, either way, I'm worried that I might stop being myself and not even know it.
Kuga murmured this before looking at me, a smile tugging at the corner of his lips.
I knew talking to you would help me get my thoughts together. I'm not sure what to do, though. I recognize that I'm worried about something, but I have no way to shake that feeling. My earlier dilemma could be solved by defeating Hanzo. Taking him down is the #1 priority regardless, but his disappearance won't fix this problem.
Kuga, this had to be something that only worried him because he was a vessel. Humans didn't ever worry about resembling their masters or being otherwise influenced by them. Formfolk didn't have their hearts and memories sealed away, so they had no need to worry about what would happen if the seal came undone. Wait a sec. Is that true? Didn't Formfolk, and humans for that matter, also worry about resembling or being influenced by other people? Especially the father-son relationship Kuga mentioned. But see, that's the thing, influenced. And you can be influenced, but it's not nature. It's the nurturing. You know what I mean? You're influenced by other people. If you're around a bunch of other people who are constantly doing horrible things, you think it's more acceptable than if you are like with a group of people who are like, wow, those horrible things are awful. You know what I mean? It's kind of about the collective response around you that helps guide you to be like, hey, these things are bad, or this is awesome. And you're like, no, it's not. That's not awesome. You know what I mean? Like, it's the herd mentality. But, like, so you can kind of understand his worry, though, because he's like, he doesn't know what he's like without the seal. So, and I mean, if there is something about form folk being or created because I mean we know that, but like because a human's love for that object so much, whatever, it's like you don't know that like the person you are doesn't impact the form folk you kind of birth into the world. So I mean, so Kuga, what I'm about to say might not make any sense at all, but do you mind if I share my thoughts too? Maybe we can think about what's bugging you together.
Would you? That would be reassuring. So, what do you think after hearing me out?
Kuga and I had completely reversed roles. Just like Kuga, who had fumbled for the right words the entire time, I began to talk after careful deliberation. I used to worry about something when I was little too. I always wondered why I was like this, even though my father wasn't a mind-reading demon himself.
A mind-reading demon?
Yes, since I could see threads and tell people's emotions, mentioning it out loud made people afraid of me. I wondered why it was me. Thanks to Lord Yoshimune, I now know I inherited my mother's powers, and I've been blessed with opportunities to put them to good use. I knew nothing back then, and it filled me with unease. I nearly gave up hope a few times because I figured, what's the use? Oh, look, you look sad for us. It's adorable. Wait, why am I even talking about this? I only started talking about it because I thought it might lead to something that would solve this problem. Oh, right. What I mean is, maybe Gingoemon Akahore isn't the only person you resemble or were influenced by.
Hmm?
That's how I felt when I learned I was a member of the Hakuseki clan. My powers were passed down to me from my mother, my grandma and grandpa, and older ancestors. Bert, you can't jam yourself into my actual esophagus. That's not how it works. He was sitting nicely under my neck, and all of a sudden it's like, he just keeps jamming himself closer and closer into my throat. Thanks to Tominari and Tojo coming to get me and being sought out by the Oniwaban, I stopped putting myself down as a monster. And yet, if I had never known about the Hakusekis, I probably would have thought I was the only odd one out in the entire world. Finding out my powers have been passed down for a long time was a bit of a relief. It also made me realize my Hakuseki abilities weren't the only thing I inherited.
Not the only thing.
Uh-huh. I don't remember her, but I think I also resemble my mom in ways that aren't just my ability to see threads. Mimi used to tell me all the time that I was a dead ringer for my dad. My habits, the way I laughed when I was having fun. That's what it means to be family. Before you were you, when you were still just an object, you belonged to Hanzo's dad, right?
Correct.
He nodded, his eyes slightly downcast. No, they're totally closed. He looks like he's sleeping. Now that he knew Akahori stole him after killing Hanzo's father, the truth must have been difficult for him to swallow. Praying that what I was about to say would shift his view of the matter ever so slightly, I continued talking. Tools aren't used by a single person. Some are shared by families, staying in use over several generations. I'm sure you inherited many different qualities from everyone who wielded you with care, including Hanzo's dad and Hanzo himself. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think you need to worry about a single owner you had. Besides, you didn't only inherit your personality back when you were an object. You're who you are thanks to all the people you've met and experiences you've had. Even if the seal on your heart and memories broke, I think you'd still be you. I looked into Kuga's eyes and stated this very clearly. How can you look into his eyes? They're closed. Oh, there we go. Now they're open again. But his eyes were, whether they're supposed to be downcast or closed, they look closed.
Our situations are different. I'm a vessel and you're a human.
Gah! I'd worked so hard to communicate my thoughts, but they didn't seem to resonate with Kuga at all. No, but what she said is absolutely 100% perfect and valid, because part of what would have made you you is the man who crafted you, not just the man who stole you, you know?
And your story about your parents and ancestors made me me having multiple owners are completely unrelated.
True. You're right. No, he's not. They're kind of unrelated because your ancestors and whatever and your genetic material is different than people owning you when you were an object, but the thought process behind it's still valid.
However, I can see the similarities between them. You're trying to say I didn't necessarily inherit everything that's important to who I am. You inherited your Hakuseki powers, but that's not the entirety of who you are. Just like Akahori's existence isn't the entirety of who I am.
Right. You did inherit some of those things, and they might be important, but they're not everything.
Indeed. You're right. The idea that one part of me determined the sum of who I am is a rather dangerous way to approach things.
Wow. You did a terrible job of explaining, but Kuga was clever enough to fully grasp what I meant. I don't think you did a terrible job of explaining. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard sometimes to, communicate your thoughts. And, she was getting there, you are the sum of all different things, and it's not just that one person. Okay, I guess you didn't explain it, the best you could have, but you know what I mean? I don't think it was bad. You got the gist of it across, and he's like, I get what you're saying. So, technically, you did a decent job.
And that said, I don't think that you and I are anything alike.
Ouch. I'm sure it's gonna come with some other, addendum to this, but it hurts at first.
Sorry. And don't apologize. I just can't help but find it odd.
Huh?
I know I just said this, But your situation feels completely different from mine. And yet, simply knowing you've experienced the same sort of worries and anxieties I'm dealing with now makes it a little less hard to bear.
I thought I'd completely messed that up, but I managed to help after all. The thought brightened my gloomy mood considerably.
What does this mean, then? Is this what people call delighting in someone else's misfortunes? It doesn't strike me as being in terribly good taste.
Well, that does happen sometimes. I wouldn't say they're glad others are unhappy, just relieved to know they're not the only ones going through it.
But why? It's not like your problems go away.
Misery loves company, sweetie. Good question. Maybe people are just relieved to know they're not alone. That's also part of it, because misery loves company. Happy people love company. People just like company, sometimes. Listen. Metaphorically speaking, like, not company, like, please don't show up at my house, but if you're like, yeah, man, shit sucks too. Okay, I'm glad I am not the only one who's stressed out and angry or anxious or whatever. You're like, no, we're all there. And you're like, okay, good. It sucks that we all have to be there, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not really like... Misery loves company is more like because you're like, I'm just going to make other people miserable because I'm miserable. But it's more like, it's just nice to know, again, exactly this. You're not alone. That's the end gist of it, you know?
You mentioned that earlier, too.
After thinking silently to himself for a little while, Kuga looked right at me one more time.
Apparently, I'm no better than a newborn when it comes to this. I'm used to interpreting people's emotions, but I'm completely incapable of interpreting my own.
It's because you're not used to having them. The emotion chip is new.
You're like my master, giving me guidance. You mean to tell me humans rack their brains like this over everything? Day in and day out? Yeah. It's not fun.
I guess so. I definitely think a lot, although you could also say I have a lot to worry about.
It must be rough being human. Aren't a lot of problems difficult to come up with an answer for? Like the situation I'm in now, or when you were little.
You're like, yeah, life is pretty much a series of misfortunes and problems with no answers, and we all just kind of muddle through and suffer the best we can. Like, this game just hitting you in all the, like, ouches. Oh, yeah. I'm just gonna go crawl under a blanket and cry. Every existential crisis you've ever had is just, like, resurfacing right now.
What did you do? Set your mind at ease by talking to someone to help collect your thoughts, like now? Listen to others' problems and struggles resembling your own?
She lived alone in the woods, so I can't. This is gonna be fun. She's gonna be like, I just did nothing. Sure, you could do that. Although that was a pretty blunt way to describe it. He wasn't wrong, but there had to be a more positive method. Oh, right. Well, worrying over the same thing constantly will just wear you down and make you more depressed, won't it?
It would indeed. Sometimes you can't help it.
Since you'll just start worrying about things that never bothered you before, making things even harder, you should make time to take your mind off of things. That's why we invented TV and video games and beautiful 2D anime boys, so that we can be like, just pretend I'm not here and I'm in a game. See? That's why I do this for you. So some days when I'm feeling like I hate everything and I just want to cry, we're here playing the games, being like, it's okay because pretty boys. And then you can come here and be like, it's okay because pretty boys. See? You know, I got you, fam. Okay? I do this for me and because I know you can benefit from it too. So, I mostly do it for me because I have fun doing this. But, but I also do it for you because I'm glad that you enjoy it. So, like, that's what I get out of it. I have fun recording these games. And then I also get the joy of knowing that it makes you guys happy. And that makes me happy. And that's how we continue the cycle. Like, Would I keep doing this if nobody ever watched any of the videos? Maybe. I don't know. Probably at that point, probably not. Probably not. So you know what? As long as there's a handful of you, it's good. And even if you're watching and not commenting or anything and you're a lurker, that's cool too. We're all still doing this for that. Don't worry about it. That's me when I watch videos. I'm like, ah ha ha, ha, and I'll talk back to the video, but I don't leave comments either. I'm a lurker. I got you, lurkers. For example, petting Komame helps me. Also, emotional support animals. I don't have to pet my bird. He's jammed under my chin, and sometimes he's tiny little bird body weight snuggled up against my neck, jammed under my chin. It's like a weighted blanket. You know how sometimes weighted blankets feel nice? He's very tiny and small, so he's not very heavy, although you are kind of fat. But like just that tiny little weight, tiny little nudge against my neck. That's all you need. Yeah, you're my Komame. Trying to pet him gently and not disrupt him so he doesn't move.
Komame, you mean the sparrow you've been raising?
Yeah, just holding her in my hand and feeling the warmth of another being is strangely soothing. Exactly. Come to think of it, I remember hugging Mimi and my dad anytime I felt lonely or was going through a rough time as a kid. Now Komame fills that niche for me.
Are we going to lead to like some kind of a tender embrace with this man? Because, I'm just saying. It's a really good opening for it. I see.
All right. My explanation seemed to be going much better this time. Kuga was listening to what I had to say with great interest. Then, just as I hoped...
And do you mind if I pet Komame as well?
Oh, of course you...
I was like, she ain't here. What's wrong?
Oh, sorry. Yuichi's watching Komame today. It's his default face, but it looks like...
You got me excited about being able to hold a bird, and I can't hold bird?
The fuck? Why today of all days? He's never once offered to watch her for me until just now. I found myself resenting Yoichi a bit, though he hadn't done anything wrong, but that was my fault for dragging him over knowing he didn't want to in the first place. Sorry for bringing it up. She'll be back tomorrow.
She will? Well, if it's all right with you, do you mind if I give you a hug tonight instead?
See, I knew we were like petting Komame and holding the warmth of another being, and I was like, we gonna get embraced by this man. And it's like, and he's like, can I hug the bird? And you're like, we don't have a bird. He's like, then you're gonna have to do. And you're like, okay. You're like, all right. Huh?
You said you used to hug your father or sister before you had Komame, right? You mentioned letting Komame sit in your hand because you can't hug them.
That wasn't really the point, but... I probably ought to be used to this by now, though. Oh, we're gonna get a CG for this, you know it. Hearing Kuga say things like that always took me by surprise, but I knew he had no underlying motives.
No, but like, if we hold him and pet him enough, we might crack his shell a little more.
I know this isn't my head, and yet it still makes my heart skip a beat. Wait, now's not the time for this! Of course you can. If it'll make you feel a little better, then let's give it a shot. My face was getting hotter every second, but I still opened my arms wide to show him I was ready for a hug.
Kuga's like, how do you do hugs?
Just like Komame the first time she was offered food, Kuga eyed me with caution. You're the one that asked! And he's like,
what are you doing?
Oh, because he's probably like, I don't know how to hug. Kuga? Everything okay?
I've never given someone a hug before, so I'm not exactly sure how to. I'm not sure I'll be able to do it right.
That's so cute. You don't know how to hug people. Oh, our little robot's growing up. Oh, guys, I'm gonna cry. Huh? Oh, it's okay. I don't mind. Like, here, I'll show you. I'll come over here. You just put your arms around my back, and I'll hug you, and then you just mimic me. Here we go. There's our CG. Oh, it's such an awkward little embrace. It's so cute. She's like, this is awkward. And he's like, and he looks all sad. Oh, it's almost a sad hug. It's so cute. Oh, all of a sudden he closed the distance between us, and I found myself staring at his chest. When he reached around my back, I could feel his sturdy arms and large hands touching me. However, that's all he was doing. Honestly, it was more like he was hovering over me. Kuga, are you hugging me? I was extremely close to Kuga's chest and his hands were on my back, so I slightly feel how warm he is.
I told you I wasn't sure if I could do it. I'd probably hurt you if I held you any tighter.
Nah, I'll be fine. I told you to, so don't hold back. I'll be like, I will tell you if it's too hard and you just loosen up a little.
Okay.
Oh. Oh, now it's so adorable. His eyes are closed and she's like, her face is so funny. It's so funny, but it's so cute. He's so precious. I could feel his arms flex through our kimonos. My face was buried in his chest. At this point, my legs were no longer neatly tucked beneath me, Seiza style. I was up against Kuga's knees, sitting cross-legged like him. It made my heart pound.
I'm not hurting you, am I, Spacey?
No.
Really? But are you sure? You're out of breath.
No, I'm not. I'm just nervous. Stop biting my headset. No, bad boy. No, don't bite headsets. But I couldn't bring myself to say it. I love you. You're being a beast. Anyway, don't worry, I'm fine. If it hurt, I'd tell you.
Okay. Please do, even if it hurts.
Kuka's really... There was no use giving it any more thought. Although we were touching, Kuka's heart definitely wasn't racing like mine was.
You're warm.
Yeah, you are too, you know?
Actually, you're more than just warm. You're hot.
You're like, hey, thanks, but like, simmer down, buddy. I'm not, that's not what he means, but... It was probably all my fault. Sorry, should we stop?
Are you saying you want to?
Huh? No, that's not what I meant. I just thought you were complaining I was too warm. Stop biting my headset.
It's fine. And this seems effective. And your heart's beating very loudly. Being able to tell, it really is rather calming.
Stop it. Stop bumping on my headset. I know you're not biting it, but you keep bumping your beak on it, and it's a big no-no. Don't do that. You chew on my fucking work headset, and I don't really give a crap about that, because that thing's old and beat up, but not a nice headset for recording. Just stop that. Just stop it, you little impetuous.
And can you hear my heart beating like that too?
I was too embarrassed. I couldn't bring myself to say anything. Now kiss. He seemed to really like it and was just quietly standing there holding me in his embrace. Stop it. He's probably feeling pretty warm himself from doing this. Besides, my heartbeat... It really wasn't beating all that loudly, but he could feel its steady thumping because we were holding each other so tightly. This all started out as a way to soothe his anxiety, but I probably found it more relieving than he did. I knew it. He's no different from me. His heart and memories are just sealed away. No, even the seal doesn't matter when we're together. Kuga probably wouldn't agree with this line of thought since he just got done telling me humans and vessels were different. Why you keep bumping me? What you doing? I was petting you and you just keep poking me in the face. You want kisses? You want kisses? I smother you with kisses? I was doing that to him last night. He was sitting on my shoulder and I just kept like smothering him with kisses and he's looking at me like, the fuck do you think you're doing? You're sitting on me, choking on my own spit. You're sitting on me, therefore I kiss you. I give you kisses whether you like it or not. Unless you bite me, then I don't do it. But you take it because you like kisses. Because you're a good boy. You silly boy. Okay, no more patties. Now we're getting bitchy. Now we're getting crabby. Turning crabby patties. Anyway. Still, I only just realized by touching each other like this that his body was warm, and his heart made noise when it beat too. My nose was buried in his kimono, which smelled faintly of sweet sweat mixed with incense. When I looked up, I occasionally glimpsed his Adam's apple moving. What do I do? I want to keep doing this for as long as possible. I wasn't sure why I felt so heartbroken and frustrated. Kuga would probably marvel if I said I wasn't quite sure what emotion I was feeling right now, even though my own heart didn't have a seal on it. Kuga?
What?
Do you mind if I hug you back? I was so nervous, my voice cracked. I couldn't help that my throat was dry, so I cleared it a few times to moisten it.
I don't mind.
Oh, look at his soft little face. Kuga's voice was quieter than usual, despite how close he was. It made my ears tickle a bit. As nervous as I was, I put my arms around his broad shoulders and gently rested them there, like what he'd done at first. I might just be imagining things, but do I detect him silently trying to tell me that's not quite what I was supposed to do? Maybe it really was my imagination. Still, it was also a bit weird of me to get cold feet when I just told him not to hold back. Here goes! I gave him a squeeze with the arms I'd just wrapped around him. He silently hugged me back a bit harder than before. That hurts a little. I wasn't sure if it hurt because he was putting too much arm into it or because my heart was beating too fast. But he'd pull away if I told him that, so I silently reveled in his warmth. And now we kiss. No, not, but still. The next day I got dressed, then walked down the hallway, rubbing my sleepy eyes. I was so nervous after that I couldn't sleep. Fortunately, that didn't mean I hadn't slept a single wink all night. Still, I was clearly more sleep-deprived than usual. Weird. I was nervous the first time I slept in the same room as Kuga, and when things got hairy in the litter, but I managed to sleep just fine both times. Well, we'd ended up battling Hanzo immediately after what happened in the litter, so I could chalk it up to having bigger things to worry about at the time. Besides, we had hugged last night. I'd probably just been a bit flustered by how long we held each other. Okay, time to forget about that. Kamame will be back today, so we won't need hugs from me anymore. Or he won't need, sorry. I was fully aware of how awkward I was still being, but that would go away on its own like it always did once I was focused on work. Right. What's the big deal if Kuga and I run into each other out here at the base when no one else is around? Chirp! Ah! I was so lost in my thoughts that it took me a few seconds too long to even notice Komame at my feet. She almost stepped on the bird. Komame! What happened? I woke up early this morning to pick you up from Yuichi's. Chirp, chirp! Komame appeared almost gallant as she looked at me. I'm assuming this is Kuga because somebody is saying I went to Yoichi's and woke him up. I wanted him to meet us here at the base today. Unless it's Miyagi, because why would Kuga be allowed to leave? Oh. Because it wasn't... Oh, okay, there's everybody. Okay, so it was somebody. One of these three was saying, oh, it was Miyagi. Okay, if you go back. So Miyagi was like, I went to Yoichi's and woke him up. I wanted him to meet us here at the base today. Okay. I turned around when I heard that voice I knew so well and saw Miyagi, Kyoshiro, and Yabuta standing there. Ah! These are our daddies right here. One of them is taken, but you can bunk off his wife if you really want to. That's up to you guys. But, then I have my robot and my bitchy wizard. I'm happy with my robot and my bitchy wizard, to be fair. They were the two I loved the most. Don't get me wrong, Miyagi's handsome, he's just not for me. I want the robot and the bitchy wizard. I definitely have a type. Or types. Behind them was Yoichi, looking even more lethargic than usual, as well as the rest of the Oniwaban. Well, good thing we didn't fall asleep embracing. They would have caught us. I only just fell asleep a little bit ago.
But you jumped out of bed when you heard, right? And this may finally be our chance to get back at Hanzo.
I mean, yeah, because we're in Chapter 6 and we haven't made a single choice, interestingly enough. Oh, of course. Kyoshiro and the others had been posted at Chiyoda Castle recently. Since they turned up at the base, I assumed something must have changed about the situation. Hearing him put it that way really lifted my spirits. Just then I heard a flurry of footsteps somewhere inside the base.
Sir, everyone...
Kuga came running when he heard their voices. I could see in his eyes that he had his hopes up, just like I did. I couldn't tell if he sensed it or if it was just a coincidence, but Kyoshiro was as calm and composed as ever when he spoke. Again, he's always calm and composed. He's a robot.
Genjiro, come to the reception hall with us. But before that, allow me to share how we'll defeat the spirit Blightfall. And that is, Hanzo.
Come to the reception hall, but before that, let me explain. No, but isn't that why we're going to the reception hall, so you can explain?
I'm sure it goes without being said around here, but when form folk become Blightfall, there are two possible ways to defeat them. One is to destroy the object the form folk is based on, and the other is more temporary, destroying the wooden tag they need to maintain their physical form.
But Hanzo's already dead.
However, neither apply to Hanzo. He's a spirit, so he can't judge his tag even if we can see it, but he can't walk around with the object he came from. He may be hiding the object, but there's no telling if it's in his hometown or turned intangible too. It'll be difficult to search with so many possibilities. Hence, we search for ways to defeat Hanzo, the spirit himself. We've concluded that Hanzo's spirit body requires a soul and a form folk body for him to occupy. To put it simply, Hanzo's no different than any normal form folk. Meaning we should be able to rid ourselves of him by slicing the object he was born from.
But you just said you don't know where the fuck it is, or if it's even intangible. Miyagi's thorough explanation was only convinced me for a brief moment before I realized something else and suddenly began to feel nervous. If Hanzo's soul needs to bind to a form folk, does that mean we'll be killing the form folk he's possessing?
What is this drivel? You really think we'd do something that heartless? We're going to prepare a temporary container.
I like how the bitchy one is like, what do you think, we're monsters? Out of everyone here, you would be yes. A container? Right, because like Miyagi's like, we either slice through his tag or we destroy the object he came from. But his tag, we can't do that because he's a ghost, and who the fuck knows where his object is, or if it even exists anymore because he's dead. So, what we're gonna do is destroy the object he came from. You just said that you can't. So like, we're gonna create a temporary one to house him that then we can destroy, or whatever. But it's like, but you kind of jumped over that part. You went from the beginning to the end. Maybe give me the middle here, you know?
Exactly. Hanzo's real form doesn't tangibly exist. We're unsure why he's in this bizarre state and didn't cease to exist, but assume it's due to his godly powers. In that case, we'll need to supply him with a wooden tag that has his name carved into it, and a container. In other words, the container will serve as his body. If we destroy the container while Hanzo's soul is bound to it, we should be able to subdue him.
See, that makes sense. But again, we went from beginning to end without the middle. Miyagi really sucks at telling stories. Maybe we all just tuned out because he started talking about his wife in the middle in there. We don't know.
Sounds pretty simple when you explain it like that, but won't it be pretty difficult to pull it off?
Yeah, I'm not so sure Hanzo will obediently get into the container for us. I would say I'm sure he won't.
We'll carefully construct it to make sure that once the container's complete, we'll explain how to use it in more detail. In that case...
That was our plan of action for now. No one in the Oniwaban seemed to have any objections, and they nodded in agreement. Except Kuga. No, I'm just kidding. Kuga had simply been quietly watching this go down. But I didn't notice the hand on his lap was... But I didn't notice that the hand on his lap was clenched into a tight fist. Oh, Girl, you gotta pay more attention to your boyfriend. The day after we decided on a course of action, there was one other gratifying development. Mitsu! As soon as Otone invited us in, I ran over to Mitsu, who was just getting out of bed. Spacey and Yuichi. Mitsu smiled at Yuichi and I while Otone propped her up from behind. She still seemed a bit sleepy, but was otherwise well. The snow sacrament we performed on Mitsu while she was sleeping seems to have worked. Relieved, I asked how she was doing. I'm so glad you woke up. Are you feeling okay? I am. Maybe it's because I've been asleep for a few days, but I feel perfectly fine today. She was in pretty bad shape when she got back, but she doesn't remember a single thing. She doesn't remember anything about being kidnapped either. She doesn't. Well, most of the form folk who were brainwashed by Hanzo said the same thing, and they don't remember anything and just felt like they were asleep. Yoichi was telling the truth, but Mitsu hadn't just been controlled by Hanzo. Hanzo's spirit had taken over and turned her form folk body into a blightfall. She had more direct contact with him than any of the other form folk who were harmed. But remember, she also kind of blighted out herself, you know what I mean? So I feel like she was easier for him to possess than anyone else. Mitsu, I'm sorry to ask you something so taxing after you just woke up, but what do you remember? No matter how insignificant it might seem. What do I remember? My memory is fuzzy, but it happened just after a man I didn't recognize came to our row house. He was a young, battered samurai. Was that when Hanzo came? He would have been himself at that point. He would have been himself at that point in time. I feel like I talked to him about something, but after that, I don't remember much. And then the samurai disappeared. Really? I guess I can't really blame her for not remembering that part. Do you remember anything else? After placing a hand by her mouth and thinking to herself for a spell, Mitsu began to speak a bit shyly. I'm not sure this has anything to do with it, but afterwards, I had a really nice dream. A dream? That's what the other guy that we found in the alley said. Yes. In my dream, I was a boy in a very close-knit family. I had 3 older brothers. I was still a form folk even in my dream, but they all welcomed me into their family like I was one of their own. He's giving everyone dreams of his life. Interesting. Or they're seeing his memories, basically. I involuntarily gasped when Mitsu said this. You can't mean... That had nothing to do with it, did it? I only ever had terrifying dreams when I turned into the Kamakiri. Oh, no, don't worry about it. I want you to tell us anything you remember. You do? Then... After that, Mitsu told us everything she remembered experiencing in her dream. About being held by the boy's mother and father, tears streaming down their faces when he transformed from a tool into a form folk. The happy days he spent being doted on by his 3 older brothers who treated him just like their own little brothers. Or their own little brother, sorry. To catch up with my brothers who grew up quickly. To be accepted by the people around me as a member of the family. Every month, or maybe even every day, I made slight adjustments to my form and acted human. Right, I definitely remember my family calling me Hanzo. No, it can't be. It is. What could that even mean? They were hardly comparable, but the crimes Hanzo had committed were much more serious than the Kamakiri. But again, this is his memories of his life and like why he's so upset, and obviously why he wants vengeance on the man who killed his father. Then he died trying to get that vengeance, and why he's still angry about it. You know what I mean? Because like, this is family. He wasn't just like, oh, okay, cool, it's a tool came to life. Like, they treated him like a member of their family, not some tool who came to life, you know? But instead of seeing something horrifying or Blightfall-esque, the person Hanzo assimilated with can only remember when he'd been happy, which is kind of sweet. Didn't that prove Hanzo's heart was still filled with love for the family he'd lost? But he was covered in so many negative emotions, they were practically pouring from him. Are we going to try to save his spirit with the snow sacrament? Realizing all over again that Hanzo's fiercely held grudge came from such an earnest, pure place left me speechless. Kuga must have been in Hanzo's happy memories too. But Kuga wasn't family to Hanzo. He only saw Kuga as the adversary who robbed him of everything he treasured, the person he'd use every trick in the book to kill. Oh, I just remembered something. I was also talking... Mitsu had been recounting her happy dream with a spellbound look on her face up until this point, but then began to speak like she'd come to her senses. Just before he faded out of consciousness, I heard a voice that sounded a lot like myself in my dream, like that Formfolk boy. I remember exactly what he said. Smells like Blightfall. A great container.
Interesting.
So, anyway, I'm going to wrap this up here because we're at time. So, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.